Hello there, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of the Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination. This is your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave. And today, I want to just take you in a little bit on this fall season Virgo season. As this solo cast comes out, we are beginning the last 4 months of the year, and it's September, and it's fall, and it's fashion week, and many of you know how much I love fashion. This is not an episode around that, but it gets me thinking around, the days when September was like going back to school month, and you would see all of the ads around back to school, and all of the to-dos, and getting so excited about new beginnings for the fall because you'd be going back to see all your friends, and you would be doing all the things. And lately I've been finding myself excited because my son is now going to start kinder, and this has been a big deal in our household because I feel like he's going to be 5 in a couple months, and this is like charting the next stage, this next evolution for him. And my daughter also started, you can kind of say it's like a pre-kinder. She's 2, where they speak Spanish all day, and it's so lovely, it's so beautiful, it's a beautiful little community. And so somebody said the other day, they're like, well, you're kind of like empty nesters. I was like, well, actually kind of, yeah. And so there's a lot of feelings around it. It's a lot of emotions. I got so emotional around like, wow, the last 5 years I've been so consumed with motherhood, but like here they are going off to school, going off to the next evolution, doing the next thing. And I found myself just like on the couch. As a family, we've been traveling quite a bit this past month. So life has been full. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you could see all of our stories. The summer was full, and August was really full in terms of just summer lovin', right? And I was on the couch and I was like, wow, I feel so exhausted. And I realized it was like the first time in a really, really long time that I felt like everything was just catching up. All of the things that we were preparing for the month, all of the parent-teacher meetings and the emails. And for those of you who don't have kids, I never realized it when friends of mine would say, September is just nuts. It's crazy. It's all of the things. And I would just equate it to when I was going back to school, when my brothers and I were going back to school and seeing friends again and going shopping for new clothes and a book bag and all of those things. And the idea of learning and the school bus picking you up and all of it. And I couldn't get off the couch. And I then had guilt because then I'm like, oh my goodness, I had all of these things that I wanted to do and organize and create, and like the to-do list, mamas, it keeps going and going on. And so there's that tinge of the guilt came up and it surfaced, and it was like, whew, okay, what is this medicine for me right now? And I realized I was completely dysregulated. I hadn't given myself a break. My kids were fully, dysregulated as well because we've been bouncing all around. And while, you can see the IG reels of, okay, we're traveling and all of the things, and it must be so much fun, but behind the closed doors, there are a lot more meltdowns. There are a lot more, Mama, can I get your phone? I want to listen to this. Can I watch this? And we've had to enforce different, rules, different boundaries around screen time. I have a son that's 4 and a daughter that's 2, and we've never really needed to have those conversations. And now I empathize with a lot of moms who have kids much older, who sibling quarrels and fights and things like that. And it's more sensory overload for your nervous system. And so how to know when you are dysregulated? First thing is if you are wanting to just literally binge on Netflix. And that was my telltale sign of like, no, you're not lazy. Your nervous system needs a break. And I say this with so much reverence and compassion in a society that lauds us to do, in a society that lauds us to keep going, keep pushing. I want to commend all the parents who, go to the birthday parties, who take the kids to all of the, the sports and trying to get involved and still have a friend circle and still prioritizing your health and going to the gym and all of these things. This is the hard way to parent. It is not easy. It is so much easier to give them an iPad. Let's be honest. It is a harder way to parent. And also we're reparenting ourselves. And the first and foremost sign that you are dysregulated, that your sensory nervous system is in overload and it needs a break, you need to relax, is when you are just binging and you are trying to get the dopamine fix. You're trying to get it by aimlessly scrolling. We're trying to get it by just binge watching on Netflix. And there are times where it's actually okay, where you just don't want to do anything. And I remember vividly, I was just lying on the couch, couldn't get up to do anything. And it was partly also, my moon time as well, period was coming, and I had to surrender. And my husband immediately was like, all right, how can I support you? What do you need? And now we've trained Arya to say, okay, mama, what do you need? And so, we have this thing where we say champi tail malish, which is, massaging your head. And in Indian tradition, his grandparents would do this to Ajit. My, ancestors would do this to me, but it's like circulation. Head massage is a very big thing in our Ayurveda. So my son got the tools out, which was the massage oil. It's like amla oil, almond oil, and started to do champi tail massage, which is a head massage. And well, that regulates our nervous system. Right touch regulates our nervous system. It brings back oxytocin. It brings back connection back to self. And the second thing, when I know that I'm completely dysregulated, when I try to meditate, and in my meditation, I fall asleep. And this has happened consistently. And I'm not beating myself up for it. There have been times and years, and you all know this, for those of you who've been listening for a while, where I haven't really had the chance to meditate. It's only now in the last few months I'm starting to whip up that practice again, starting with like 4 minute, 5 minute. The kids are now 2 and 4, so I'm not having to, jump around with them nearly as much. They are now having their quiet time in the morning. We're starting to make those routines. Obviously, it doesn't go to plan all the time. Yet I'll take 2 out of the 5 days. I'll take, 3 out of the 7 days. And it's cool to create these family rituals. But I know now that, okay, you just need rest. If you're falling asleep during some sort of quiet time, your body needs to rest and to pay attention to those signs. At the end of the day, when you are reaching for a glass of wine or a glass of booze, and I'm not going to shame anybody who drinks, I'm not going to shame anybody who, uses that as your choices, that's totally you, yet pay attention. This is body awareness 101. This is having that RSA that I talk about in That Suck Now What, your radical self-awareness. How are you being? And there was a point in the last few weeks where I was reaching for my bottle of wine as a stress relief. And I know I see all of these memes where we normalize drinking. We normalize drinking at the end of the day and having children. And why are we normalizing that? I just thought that was so interesting that is normalized in society versus being able to color or draw. I had the glass of wine and I'm like, yeah. And I was with my brother and he's like, wow, I totally get it now. I totally get. It's like, I see this all the time with and he doesn't have a family yet, but with my friends who all have kids, he's like, why is that? I'm like, well, yeah, let's talk about it. And I think it's knowing that you are dysregulated. So the brain wants familiarity. The brain wants the things that have over time felt good. And so we go to those things. We go to those things that are easy, that are in our field of view, the things that we have done in the past. And so when you want to create a new habit or when you want to create change, the body is so unfamiliar to that. Where now we've created a little art atelier in our house. It's just a little fancy thing for crayon box and coloring paper and watercolor paints and, paint brushes. And we have it in one area of the house where it's, safe for any spills and all the things. Point is, so that we can activate more of our right brain, so that we can regulate doing something different. And so the kids are now also asking, Mama, I want screen time, where we can normalize new activities and new things. And even if you don't have kids, what if replacing that glass of wine at the end of the day and just starting to take your crayons and color and activate those inner child practices, activate the inner teenage practices. And this is another example of dysregulation, is when you have lost your shit and you start screaming and yelling, either at your loved one, your partner, or yourself. You start degrading yourself because things didn't go your way. You had a suck moment, or your kids are acting out, they're having a meltdown, and you can't hold it anymore. So you start to become an intense reactor. And that just means that you are dysregulated. That just means that you need a moment. That just means you need a moment to vent. You need a safe space to clear and scream and yell and shout, AKA you need a rage room, or an ability where you can actually throw pillows across the floor, play some heavy metal music, or my favorite, Dinosaur Dance by Cats and Boots, and allow yourself to have that 3-minute temper tantrum by yourself, screaming in the closet, in the bathroom stall, allowing yourself to throw things at the wall, or if you have a boxing or punching bag at home, or if you don't even have that, a bunch of pillows will work, but start to kick and punch and put all that anger in the pillows, or create a pillow fight with your kids. This is a new thing. Ever since my littlest turned 2, she thinks it's so funny because her older brother is like into, jujitsu, and we have him in Aikido. There's a lot of, the wrestling that's happening in our house. It's a natural cortisol release, and cortisol is our stress hormone, right? And so we're releasing that, and we're also finding new ways of regulating back our nervous system. So I just want to recap what we've been kind of talking about. When you are dysregulated, it doesn't mean that you are lazy. It doesn't mean that you are out of control with your emotions. It doesn't mean that you are avoiding certain things. It just means that you're dysregulated and your body is craving comfort. Your body is craving dopamine. Your body is craving food. Your body is craving the things that your brain has known to be true for years and years and years and years. And while I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad with their choices, I think there are other ways where we can regulate our nervous system that makes us come back to our sense of juicy, our sense of fun, our sense of play. Because as we are also modeling these behaviors with our kids, I think it's also okay to model those behaviors and course correct. If you did have a meltdown, if you do feel dysregulated, now I can actually share with my kids, I'm feeling really dysregulated right now. And this has nothing to do with you. You are amazing. You are a great kid. And it's everything to do with mama. Mama is under-resourced right now. So I need a moment to breathe. And so instantly we are putting our hands over our heart, kind of like how I share in That Suck Now What, to breathe and to literally come back to our nervous system. And for those of you who are listening, maybe you're driving right now, take just a second to the deepest breath that you've taken all day and soak it in. Many times we're such in this fast, go, go, go mode that we don't even have the time to be present to the current moment. And so that's my gift for you today, is understanding when our nervous systems are overreactive, are high intensity, that many times we judge ourselves for the actions that we take. So first, to have that awareness, that body awareness, that mental awareness, that emotional awareness that we can start to cultivate when we are doing those behaviors that are numbing, that are distracting, that are pacifying the feeling that we really just need to honor. The feeling of frustration, the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of stress, the feeling of rest, the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of the uncertainty. And I know for a lot of people who maybe have older kids, and some of you have even shared, maybe some of your kids are going off to college. I've been seeing some of these posts about dropping kids off to college, and whatever season in life that you are in, or maybe it's just uncertainty, incredible summer, and now you're like, oh, it's Virgo season. We got to get back into the swing of things. Have that compassion for yourself, getting back into some of those things that can regulate, and to do it also, if you do have a family, to actually take your family with you and to create those rituals with your family if you don't get a chance to have a moment to yourself. I would encourage you to try to see if you can have that moment away, but even if you can't, how can you make it fun so that you're actually doing it with yourself? And this actually happened this morning. I had this whole idea that I was like 3 days straight of, meditation. And this morning I was like, okay, I'm going to get up early. And I had this whole vision, and I'm like, I'm going to get up early, and I literally last night, I was envisioning it. And this morning I woke up because my husband now he's away on a trip, and my daughter just like went into full like screaming, crying mode, and was just not in the best mood in the morning, as toddlers are sometimes. And she just wanted dad, and she was screaming and just like without just full on meltdown. And I was like trying to pick her up, and she was just like no, and she was just fully in her suck mode. And so I'm like, okay, I'm here. It was not the alarm clock that I needed or wanted, but I had. And I'm like, all right, well, there goes that vision. What's plan B? And then, she started, and then my son also then started, because then he started going, I want my dada. I miss him. Where is he? And so that was about 20 minutes of the morning. And so I'm like, we still have, 40 minutes before they have to get up, dressed, and ready for school. And so it was the long story short, it did not happen. It was another meltdown and another meltdown and another meltdown. So what did we do? We rolled around. We pretended that we were animals, and we rolled around in the carpet in their room and played CoComelon songs. Shout out to CoComelon. And that's what we did. And I was doing Happy Baby, because that's literally all I was able to give myself this morning. And I'm like, I'm going to enjoy doing this Happy Baby, and I'm going to stretch like a pretzel. And even though she was having her little moment, that's what I was giving to myself, so that I could be fully resourced to receive them and hold the bigness of their emotions. And so often when we are dysregulated, we can't hold anybody else's stuff. We can't hold our friend's stuff. We can't hold our client's stuff. We can't hold what our boss is telling us. We can't hold, even if it's coming from a place of love, a friend that's sharing something. And so we take it personally. And so we take offense to it. We get defensive, and we shut down. We binge watch Netflix. We start to aimlessly scroll on Amazon and see what we can find to buy. We start to go down a rabbit hole of Instagram and see what our ex from like high school is doing and where they're at. And we keep going down and down and down those rabbit holes. It's because we're dysregulated. And so today, when you're listening to this, when you're interacting with other people, maybe not in your family cohort, maybe not in your friend's cohort, and maybe they didn't send you a message back, maybe they're just dysregulated, and give them a second chance, or find other ways to connect and lift yourself up so that you can show up for whoever you need to show up today. So with that, I'm so excited to announce that we are finally opening doors. I know many of you who got That Suck Now What, the book, the 5-time award-winning book, How to Embrace the Joy in Chaos and Find Magic in the Mess. In sharing these moments, it has truly been kind of a whirlwind since the book came out 6 months ago. I can't believe it's been 6 months, actually 7 months now, as we start off September. And just some of the DMs that have been coming in around how That Suck Now What, TSNW, has shifted your life, either helped you get out of an abusive relationship, stand up to your toxic family member or caretaker, or stand up to your boss, or find something that you love, or maybe embrace that you have been going through a dark spell, or in the stuck of something, or in the suck of something. And now you are beginning your now what. And maybe that now what has led you to this podcast. Maybe that now what has led you to finding me on IG or on LinkedIn or wherever you are. But I'm so excited that you have come home. I'm so excited that you are here. And I want to invite you to a very, very special, super, super special, beautiful container of healing that I am opening up for the first time ever, our 8-week group coaching That Suck Now What course. So if you got the book, or if you didn't get the book, and you want to actually go deeper with me, we are opening up a very special cohort for a small, very tiny, small group of individuals who want to go deeper. We kick off this mid-September. So if you are curious, if you are interested, definitely go to thatsuckednowwhat.com/waitlist to sign up for the waitlist, and you will be notified on all of the details around when our live workshop is going to be. And that is all happening within the next few weeks. I'm so excited. We kick off this next batch September 21st. And so maybe you can be part of our founders circle, which is basically you get to go deeper with myself. And we get into the learnings of the book. We get into part 1 of the magical moment that sucked. We get into the 4 parts of building your bounce factor and where are we needing to strengthen? What does it look like to be dysregulated? So we go even into the topics that I've shared even today in how to repattern yourself and reparent yourself so that we can create a now what that is way beyond our imagination and way beyond what we are desiring for closing out the remainder of the year. So if you're curious to know more and are like, yes, I want in, go ahead to thatsucknowwhat.com/waitlist. And when you sign up, we will send you all of the juicy details. I am so excited. And if this episode resonated, please let us know what part of it that you loved. Send us a note on IG at The Brave Table. And also go ahead and share this with a friend, a colleague. We need more people that would love to get brave in their own endeavors. And I will see you next time.